Hi everyone, I hope you're having a good day. My name's Kate and I thought what we would do today is a garden tour. I've been sick with a cold all week and so I haven't been able to get anything done, so I thought this might be a good chance to check in with how things are going in the garden. Next to the compost I have this sort of little staging area. It's supposed to be a garden bed, but it has turned into a little area for various starts. So as we move into the vegetable garden here, in this bed I had corn, sunflowers, and green beans. The corn didn't do very well because I think it was really hungry and there wasn't enough nutrition in the bed. The green beans didn't do that well because they were under the sunflowers, and the sunflowers were very happy because they were at the front of the bed. And then in this bed, on this side, how do I do this? That's the bed I just started this summer, well, a few weeks ago, and I'm really happy with the bed. The soil looks great. I've planted a cover crop in it, so the pea shoots come up, and then someone, probably a squirrel or something, has been going in there and digging up the seedlings and eating the little peas off of the seedlings. So it's mostly devastated pea cover crop seedlings. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. I was thinking I might start some again in module trays or something. I'm not really sure. My original plan was to, in this bed, basically do the same thing, top dress it and plant the same winter field peas in it, but now I don't really know what to do since somebody has been eating my little pea plants. Okay, next beds. As we move in here, we get to this little bed. This is one of the beds I redid in one of my videos. It has carrots in the center, green beans, well, yellow and purple beans on the side here. There's a big nasturtium on the far side, and this gigantic alyssum, which I cut back really hard in that video, and it is really full. I actually had to take out some of the plant on this side because it was taking over the bed again, and there was no room for the carrots. So the carrots have germinated fairly well, but I did have a problem, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks after I did the bed, that my dog had come in here and kind of like dug up a bunch of it. So I think we're missing some germination on a bunch of them, but these beans are way bigger than I thought they were going to be. I've planted beans from this packet before and they did not grow this big. So they're kind of taking over. Some of them are leaning over a long way. I was thinking I might need to stake them, but they're looking really good. I think we're gonna get a harvest out of them before the frost comes. So that's excellent. And then next bed over here. So this bed is kind of a weird bed. I've pretty much neglected it this year. At this edge, I've got some peas that I planted earlier this summer. They never really took off. Someone was nibbling the tops of them, but at this point I've kind of thought, well, I've tried to grow a cover crop of peas in another bed. These ones are already growing. Why don't I just leave them in over the winter? The other things that are in here is an old Brussels sprout plant. I actually planted this last year, so it's overwintered 1 year already. It was really small last year, and so I just kind of left it. But it has actually branched into a number of stalks. Maybe on this one, you can kind of see. There are little Brussels sprout buds starting to form. So despite it being a weird old plant, it might actually be okay. So we're gonna leave it and see what happens. The other thing that's along the edge here is kale, and they are from the same season as this one, so this will be their second winter. I'm thinking, because they're at the south end of this bed though, I'm gonna have to cut them down. They're too big at the front. It shades out this whole other back half of the bed, and we're gonna need to put kale somewhere else in the future. Otherwise though, they are big, luscious plants. Where are we gonna go next? Maybe we'll go here. So one interesting thing about this bed is it has a lot of trellises. One, it's got this little kind of archway trellis that is too small for an adult to go under, but I built it as a playhouse because I have a 3-year-old. So I thought it'd be cute and a nice way to have a bit of shade in there. So on here is butternut squash. It had a really slow start this season. I would say in general, my garden was not a big success this year. So I'm not exactly thrilled with how everything's doing, but this is what happened. So butternut squash, I haven't had any real sized fruits of it. This is the biggest one, and it's the 8th of October. So I could cut it down, or I could leave it and see what happens. I've got nothing to lose. So let's look at what's actually in this bed. Okay, there's the butternut squash. Let's turn so I'm not staring in the sun. The trellis, this trellis has cucumbers growing on it. I've got one giant one there that I kind of thought I would just let go to seed. We'll have to check if it's an F1 hybrid or if it's open pollinated. And there's another one there that we need to pick. Otherwise, again, the cucumbers have been a bit disappointing and slow this year. And then let's see what's down in the soil. So underneath the squash and cucumber plants is another bed that I did as a fall garden planting video. This is the one that I put in 2 zucchini plants, 1 and 2, and I also sowed beets in the opposite corners from them. The zucchinis are looking pretty good. I'm thinking I should get some of my tomato feed out to give them a bit of a feed. They're looking a little yellow, but otherwise there are some female flowers coming, so we might actually get some zucchini. Beets, however, are struggling. The other question is, where are they? So I think they germinated, but again, someone has been eating them. For the next bed, let's do the long bed next to it. So this long bed is by far the most productive bed in the garden. The soil in it is just seems to be so much better. So at the end here, we've got a nasturtium. I think this is actually in the path, not the bed, but huge. And there must be a couple plants there because we've got some cute little red flowers in there too. It's nice to have a little mixture. And then we've got some basil. There's 2 plants of basil there. They really give off a scent as you go by. It's quite nice. And it's gone to flower and seed, so the bees have really been going after it. And then let's get up. Next to the basil, there's a row of leeks. Leeks are great to have in the garden over winter. I can just come out and pick them as I need them in the kitchen for soups and, you know, whatever else I'm cooking. And then next to the leeks, we've got a couple rows of carrots. And intermixed with the carrots, there's also some dill. Because it self-seeded itself, it's kind of everywhere, which is nice. I don't have to plant dill. The carrots are doing great. Hopefully they will bulk up and be happy to keep themselves here over the winter. So after the carrots, we get into kind of my brassica winter planting that I did a few weeks ago, and they are huge. They are such happy plants. I'm so glad I bought them as starts. I don't think they would have been so nice if I had started them from seed myself. For some reason, I haven't had that good of success. So I hope these turn out really well. So these ones are broccoli. We've got one by itself and then a row of broccoli. I planted them at 8-inch spacing, but I'm kind of wondering if that was a typo on the tag, because 8 inches for a brassica seems really close. On the other hand, they're huge and they look so nice. And then planted between the brassicas, I put in some beets, which again look great. They're doing so well. And then there's 2 rows of more Brussels sprouts. And then between all of that is tons of weeds. So the other bed that's next to the long bed is this one with the tree in it. Okay, I had to run inside and get a cup of tea because my voice was giving out. So this is a bed that I haven't really shown yet. It is primarily an herb bed. There's sage in the back there. There's some more oregano. There's 2 giant clumps of alyssum across the front here. And this was chamomile, and now it's died back. But there's bindweed there and just everywhere in here. But the main star of this bed is this small tree. So let me show you that. So in the center of this bed is a multi-grafted dwarf cherry tree. It has 1, 2, 3 varieties on it, and another one, this green one, that didn't make it. It needs some work. I need to prune it and whatnot. At the time that I planted it here, it seemed like a good idea. Right now it's not seeming like it was such a good idea, but I think we can live with it for now. So then further into the corner, there is this corner bed behind this tree. This is another bed that I did a fall planting video of. I planted bok choy, rutabaga, dill, and some peas in the back. This bed did not do so well. I got some germination and some of the plants took, but there's a lot of bare ground here. I'm not really sure what happened. My guess is that somebody is eating the seeds before they get going. Maybe a squirrel? Not sure. This didn't work out as planned at all. The other thing that's back here in the corner is sunflowers that are completely done for the season. Their flowers have been eaten off by probably a squirrel, who maybe was the culprit, left the seeds in the bed as well. And so then if we continue around, so this is fully behind the cherry tree now. I planted tomatoes back here, which I have no idea. Why did I think that was going to work? They're basically in 3/4 shade behind a not too big, but a tree that casts like a decent shadow now. So there's 6 tomato plants. I have harvested no tomatoes from them, and a few sad little basils that are doing nothing. And then the sunflower, that was happy. I think the combination of the shade and then the soil was maybe not rich enough for the tomatoes. And then I also planted them really late. They didn't do well at all. And then further down this bed is raspberries. We have so many raspberries in this garden. I need to get in there and thin them out. So here's the other end of the raspberry patch. It's overgrown, full of weeds, neglected. This raspberry patch actually started from 4 plants a number of years ago. 2 of them are thorn varieties. I don't remember which 2 varieties they are. And then 2 of them are the same variety of thornless raspberries, and those ones are the good ones. They're at this end, so they're a lot easier to access, and they're thornless, so you can get in there with your hands. It's great. The problem is raspberries spread very vigorously. If I had known how good they were at spreading, I'm not sure I would have planted them in the ground as I did, but they produce really well. So I'm not going to attempt to dig them out, but maybe I wouldn't have made the same choice if I had known how it was going to turn out. That being said, we love raspberries. They all get eaten. At this end of the raspberries, we have a hollyhock, and then below, along this edge, there's strawberries, which don't produce any strawberries. I need to take them out and do like an overhaul of this bed. So there's some strawberries along here. I think what's happening is maybe someone is eating them and they just don't produce very well. And then along the back, there's actually a couple miniature roses that are kind of struggling underneath this. It's a perennial sweet pea. It's beautiful. It makes pink and magenta flowers, but it's not scented. So I'm kind of torn about keeping it. So this is a little raised bed that ends, and then there's just kind of miscellaneous ornamentals along here. A sedum and a daylily, and then the hedge. So that's my garden this year. Nothing impressive. It's full of weeds, but that's reality. This is how my garden is, and I thought you might like seeing it. So for now, thanks, and I'll see you next time.